Hi, I'm horror author Paul Edwards. Tonight I'm reading For Monsters Only magazine, issue number 3 from 1966. I thought you might enjoy flipping through this vintage magazine with me. Together, let's see what kinds of Monster Kid goodness is in here. For Monsters Only, the official magazine for all monsters. If you are not a monster, don't dare read it. That sounds like a challenge. Check out the great haunted house illustration. Oh my gosh, complete with mole people. Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. The horror worlds of Boris Karloff in this issue. Screaming shock photos. Mightiest mad monsters strike again. Chiller Diller cartoons. Beware of half man, half alligator. Sounds like good advice. And a special terror bonus, Transylvania credit cards. Wow. Oh, and for only 35 cents. So we're opening right up to I Was a Teenage Werewolf. I think my father is some kind of nut. He keeps telling me, go to the barber, go to the barber. Yeah, these are the kind of jokes that we're going to get in this magazine because this magazine was published by Cracked. Cracked magazine was a competitor to Mad magazine. See, I didn't say ripoff. Whoops. So you could expect Cracked magazine style jokes in here. Let's see what we're going to get. Wow. Adams and Evil. Okay. Transylvanian TV. Wasn't that a Rob Zombie song? Oh, that was Transylvanian Transmissions. Okay. School for Monsters. Oh boy. Okay. I do like that the letter page is the post-mortem office. Get Anthony Quinn's Hunchback of Notre Dame. And the Frederick March version of Mr. Hyde from 1931. All right, now this is objectionable here. Transylvania's Man of the Month. Well, I don't know how to break it to you, but this is Frankenstein's daughter. Daughter. This is Frankenstein's daughter. It was a 1950s drive-in movie. So it's not Transylvania's Man of the Month. You could have said Monster of the Month or Woman of the Month. But in their defense, the person who designed the monster costume for this movie didn't know that it was supposed to be a female character. So he just whipped up a monster, a Frankenstein monster, and then somebody said, hey, you know the title of this picture is Frankenstein's daughter, right? And he said, what? And just quickly threw on some sort of dark lipstick onto the monster he had already designed. And he himself was not happy with the final result. But they didn't give him the information that he should have had. So you can't blame him. All right, let's see. Yeah, you can tell this is a Cracked magazine publication. Boy, talk about lousy coffee. Yeah, okay. All right. The Horror Worlds of Boris Karloff. Here he is in Frankenstein 1970, which was a 1958 movie set in the near future of 1970. Arsenic and Old Lace, of course. Here he is in Mask of Fu Manchu, his one and only time playing Fu Manchu. Oh, here he is behind the scenes, chilling out with his dog. See, he's not so scary. Karloff did tons of radio work in addition to his movies. Even if you think you've seen every Boris Karloff movie, I'll bet you've never heard every Boris Karloff radio show, because he did a ton of them. Okay, well, purportedly, this is the transformation from Abbott and Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And so Karloff played Dr. Jekyll and transformed into Mr. Hyde. But almost all of the Mr. Hyde you saw in this movie was stuntman Eddie Parker. Oh, wow. This is from 1914. Wow. Not used to seeing young Karloff, right? You can tell just by the bad haircut that this is him in Frankenstein 1970. For some reason, he had this horrible haircut in Frankenstein 1970. It's distractingly bad. Wow, see, smoking is bad for you. Okay, so there are a couple of different movies that are called The Raven, and Karloff was in two of them. He was in a 1930s film, The Raven, which was a serious horror story. But this is from the 1963 movie, completely unrelated movie, also called The Raven. And it was a horror comedy where Karloff played an evil magician, and he was in a war against a good magician played by Vincent Price. Doomed to Die. Karloff is seen as the one-armed Captain Hook in the 1950 Broadway production of Peter Pan, in which Jean Arthur plays the title role. That's not a picture I've seen before. I have seen this movie, though, The Man They Could Not Hang. Karloff did a bunch of these half horror, half crime movies. Oh boy. Okay, this has Crack Magazine written all over it. Even if you never read Crack, but if you are familiar with Mad Magazine, I'm sure this format looks familiar to you. So this is the School for Monsters, huh? Okay. Uh-huh. Oh, it's kind of like Hogwarts. Okay, now that's a little clever. That's a little clever. That when the fly monsters are teaching class, it's, they're upside down. They're hanging up from the ceiling. That's all right. Dr. Wombat, student advisor. Mr. Cyclops. Yeah. Roomy dormitories. Uh-huh. Oh, an employment bureau. That's good. School lunchroom. Is it bubbling cauldron? Come to think of it, this is a little bit like my junior high school. The beauty pageant is Miss Hex Appeal. That's a little funny. Come on. That's a little funny. All right. Transylvania's Handyman. Do you recognize this monster? Now, they don't tell you in here the truth about what monster this is, but do you recognize it? That's it, the Terror from Beyond Space. Oh, good. More cartoons. Yeah. Oh my gosh. The executioner has a super long axe handle because he can't stand the sight of blood. Oh, this is a little dark. And then he gets the other one on the rebound. Oh, man. Quick quiz. Can you tell which monster movie each picture is from? But what they do is they give you one serious answer and then 3 joke answers. For example, this, you probably recognize that this is from Gorgo, but even if you didn't, even if you'd never seen Gorgo, you know it's not The Mummy Signs His Medicare Card, The Revenge of Ralph Houck, or Andy Hardy and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Oh, brother. Oh, look. As a matter of fact, look, now they have no excuse. Here they have Frankenstein's daughter. And it's the answer, it's the correct answer. Of course, it's not War of the Colossal Sardines. It's Frankenstein's daughter. So here's the very monster that they misidentified as being a man monster when it's clearly a woman monster. I mean, clearly they knew it was a woman monster. All right. This sounds like a terrible idea. Now all you fiends can build your own monster. Just cut out the pieces and create the most terrifying ogre in your neighborhood. For best results, paste page on cardboard before cutting. Okay, but then what do you do with them? Tape them to your face or something? What do they expect you to do here? I think that is it. Yikes. Hey, it's Lurch. Oh, okay. Looks like we're getting into the Addams. Oh, wait a minute. Ted Cassidy. Ted Cassidy is this actor who had a super, super deep voice. And in voice work from the 60s and 70s, you can hear him even if you don't recognize, I mean, even if he's not billed, you can recognize his voice in other things. For example, in the Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk TV show, he was the voice actor that did the roars for the Incredible Hulk in the first season. Or in the Angry Red Planet, his was the voice, even though he was uncredited. You can recognize his was the voice of the Martian leader giving a warning to the Earthmen in the tape recording at the end. There was tons of stuff like that. He did a lot of cartoon work too. He just had such a great, super deep voice. Which is funny because he didn't talk all that much on the Addams Family. Mightiest mad monsters strike again. King Kong was just a nobody until he was discovered by that famous director, C.B. DeKill. In just a few short months, he was making over 5,000 peanuts a week. Yeah, I'm not going to read all of these. These are pretty bad. You know, I've always thought that Rodan was underused. I mean, he's been in his share of giant monster movies, but they only in the original movie Rodan from 1956 did they really show how powerful Rodan is. That all he has to do is fly over a city. He doesn't even have to touch the buildings. Just fly over a city, and the hurricane force from his winds destroys all the buildings down below. They really have not done a good job of showing that since his first movie. They've thrown him in some movies, but, you know, not shown that power. The one time they did show the power halfway decently was in Godzilla Final Wars. They didn't show it for long, but when they did show it, it was good. They showed him zooming over Manhattan and, you know, all the windows shattering and the buildings being blown away. They did a good job of depicting it in that. They just should have had more of it. Now, how can you possibly put a great monster like Gorgo and a crummy monster like Robot Monster next to each other? I don't know. Bill Ward, the Black Sabbath drummer? Probably not. Oh, come on. You know, I'm offended that this is being used as a joke. This is such low-hanging fruit. Mummy, yeah, right. Is that the quality of joke we can expect? You think we're going to settle for that? Oh no, not another round. You men are all alike. Before we were married, you always let me enter a room first. Gosh, Dad, I told you not to make fun of Mom's new hat. That's all right. Please turn the sun lamp off. I have to leave now. Yeah. Bewitched. Bewitched, Bothered, and a big hit. It was a big hit. This show was extremely popular when it was in its first run, when it was on primetime TV. It went for either 10 or 11 seasons. I can't quite remember. Something like 10 seasons. And it was still popular when they canceled it. The reason they canceled it wasn't that it was going down in the ratings or anything. The reason they canceled it was Elizabeth Montgomery, the star, didn't want to do it anymore. But it was still going strong. I'm thinking this is the Amazing Colossal Man when he had the radiation burns from the plutonium bomb. But if you think I'm wrong, let me know. Okay, I've seen this one already. This is not great. Frankenstein monster's going to take the subway, okay. Passengers afraid of him, okay. And then a whole bunch of them come and chase him away. That's it. That's the whole cartoon. You think maybe they're building up to something better? Nope, there's something else on the other page. This is it. This is the whole cartoon. That's just bad. That's just bad. The Alligator People. This is one of these films that really is a pretty good little B movie right up until you see the monster. Sort of like It Conquered the World. The Alligator People is not bad in terms of story structure, pacing, mood. All of that is fine until in the final reel, the alligator man reaches his final mutation, and this is what the monster looks like. And kudos to Beverly Garland for doing her best to make it convincing with her screams, but it's just kind of hard to take seriously. Incidentally, extra props to Beverly Garland for doing her own stunt work in this movie, including running by a whole bunch of real live alligators, because they didn't have the money, I think, for a stunt woman, but she did do her own stunts, and I'll give her props for that. Yeah. You know, you can freeze frame these and read them if you want. I'm not gonna linger on a whole bunch of these. You want to see the real monsters here, like the pictures from the movies. Okay, this really looks like a Crack Magazine piece, doesn't it? This almost could have run in Crack Magazine, and you never would have noticed that it was written for this. All you need is Nanny doing the TV hosting gig. Remember her? Oh my gosh. A bat named Masterson. Get it? Get it? Huh. Okay, so there was a TV show called To Tell the Truth, and three people would sit, and the contestants would ask them questions about what they do for a living, and you had to guess which person was the real McCoy and which ones were just actors pretending and trying to bluff you into thinking that they did that job. So, for instance, they would tell you, "I'm an airline pilot." One of the people really would be an airline pilot, and the contestants had to ask them questions to find out which one was the real airline pilot and which ones were fakes. But here the gag is that all three heads belong to the same guy. That's okay. That's kind of funny. That's pretty good. People wouldn't get it now, but at the time this came out, the kids would have got it. Transylvania TV set. Oh, you can get a Coffin Color set. That's if vampires are made out of the kids from this current generation, that's what they're going to want. They're going to want like a screen time in the coffin. They can text message the other vampires in their crypts. Okay, even in the 60s, kids may not have got this. I told those college students they'd get in trouble stuffing telephone booths. Seeing how many kids you could fit into a telephone booth was a fad in the 1920s. So even when this magazine came out, that was way old. Oh, and look, Frankenstein's daughter again. So they really had no excuse. Whoa. All right, this is a little funny. A little funny. Okay, so the castaway's stuck on an island, and he sees somebody bailing out of a plane. The sharks come to get him. He tries to warn him. It looks bad. And then a whole bunch of shark skeletons wash ashore. And then it turns out it was a monster that bailed out of the plane. See? That's all right. At least I took a little thought. This is I Married a Monster from Outer Space. Okay, this is okay from them. Yuck. Someplace you picked to have a picnic, Charlie. Just look at the size of those ants. Can't get enough monster-sized monsters. I still want to know, and I've asked this in other videos because this ad ran in a bunch of magazines. Did any of you out there actually buy the monster-sized monster, 6 feet tall for only $1? I'm assuming that it was a poster that you taped to the back of your bedroom door. But I have never known anyone who actually ordered one. So I'm curious to know if it was any good or if it was real flimsy or something. Transylvania grab bag. Ooh, 7 big monsters from outer space. Oh, look at those. Yikes. Big inflatable toys of creatures from the limits of outer space. Wow. You can get your 8mm movies to play on your home movie projector with highlights from different films. Like, for instance, Tarantula. You wouldn't get the whole movie Tarantula. You would get like 10 minutes or 12 minutes worth of Tarantula. Or Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Or Bela Lugosi Dracula. African Animal Hunt, though, is a little different. My guess is that this was one of those real life jungle pictures like Clive Beatty, the famous lion tamer, used to take. And, you know, you get like the highlight reels from one of his films. Oh, there's more of them. Lion-tiger fight. Isn't it that lions live in Africa and tigers in Asia, so that lions and tigers never actually would encounter each other to fight? Unless they're having them fight in a zoo, which is horrifying. In a circus? I hope they never did that. Why do they call it horrible monster? You can just say Frankenstein. It's in the public domain. Wow. What we got on the inside back cover here? One thing about Dean Martin, when he throws a party, he never stints on the drinks. Okay. A screaming bonus. Here's the Transylvanian credit cards we've been waiting the whole issue for. You get one for the Wolfman's Barbershop, one for Count Dracula's Blood Bank, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde's Health Club, Hertz Rent-A-Broom. I guess. And we're done. Listen, if you enjoy classic monsters and vintage horror, check out my book series, the Mourner's Woods books. I write novels for people who like 20th century monster movies. There's a link to my books, which are for sale on Amazon. There's a link in the description for this video. My books, again, are the Mourner's Woods books. My name is Paul Edwards. Thanks for spending some time looking through For Monsters Only, issue number 3 with me. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.